Welcome to Bridges to Success, stories of transition and triumph, the podcast that brings to light pivotal moments, pathways that lead from the classroom to a career, transforming dreams into realities. And today I am graced by our special guest, Youth Employment Specialist 2 from Bridges to Work, Bridges from School to Work, Shannon McCabe. Shannon, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing great. Let's start at the very beginning. What do you do at Bridges?
So, at Bridges, I work as a youth employment specialist. I have a caseload of young adults. Typically, since I'm considered 2, I have a caseload anywhere from like 20 to upwards 26 youth that I work with. And what we do is work on job readiness skills, so resume development, interview preparation, working on applications, showing them how to apply for jobs, where to look for jobs, how to go in person or call, follow up on your application or see if they're hiring. Once we complete the job readiness portion, we help them with the heavy interview preparation. So we give interview clothes if they need interview clothes, make sure they're ready for interviews, take them to interviews. After they complete the interview process and they land a job, then we help with onboarding. We could do, a lot of jobs sometimes have some online onboarding assessments or paperwork or things like that we assist with. And then there's a year of retention. So after they get placed in the job, they get onboarded, we check in, in the beginning of the job, it's like weekly. And then after they've been there for 6 months, it's like once a month. But checking in and making sure the job's going well, that's a good job match. If any problems arise, we're there to kind of help them problem solve on their own or step in to help if need be. But I would say in a nutshell, that's what we do.
It's a lot. You guys do
It is a lot. And outside of that, a lot of times we're not just a mentor to them, but we're a pretty big piece in their lives. So it's really not just job stuff that we work on. It's more job plus life that we are working on with them. So it's super fulfilling.
I bet. How did you get started in all this?
Yeah, my first job out of undergrad, through networking, one of my friends was working at a similar nonprofit out in the suburbs in Lisle, Illinois, and they worked with specifically adults, not youth, with disabilities and helping with job placement. And they partnered with the Department of Rehabilitation Services. And I had like a year of experience doing that. And then I went to grad school, and I didn't plan to get back into this field, but my first interview was with Bridges, and I was like, do I want to get back into the same field? And I was really impressed with the interview process, and most of the people there said that they had been at Bridges from like 15 to 25 years, and I could see there was such little turnover. So I was like, okay, I think that this shows this is probably a good place to work. So I gave this a try out again, same type of work, different organization, and it's been an incredible experience because Bridges has been around for so long. They've really figured out and created a well-oiled machine of what we do, what our mission is. So it's been a great experience.
And your job there, has it grown, or have you always been kind of in that same role, and what does your future look like?
Yeah, so I started as a youth employment specialist 1. It's been a little weird path because I was kind of promoted. We had a national what word am I looking for? We had a research study and Next Gen, which I believe we already have an episode on Next Gen. And so I was on that grant for over a year, which was semi-promotion, kind of. And it was really cool working on a research study. So that was a little different. I learned a lot from that. Lots of, grassroots work and troubleshooting and figuring out how to really get it going and successfully. And then I got promoted to ES2, and so I moved grants around again. But hopefully for my future, my long-term goal, what I went to school for, was nonprofit management. That's what my master's degree is in. So I am looking forward to growing, hopefully with Bridges, and working my way to a director role. I think every director in Bridges, outside of our Chicago director, Aubrey, has started at ES and worked their way to director. That's really how we do things here. And so that's my long-term goal. But, there's lots of opportunities since we have 11 or 10 national offices. If there's room to move around, that's a possibility. So I'm open to whatever they throw my way.
That's really cool. If for those who don't know, Next Gen was a study by the federal government to figure out why Bridges from School to Work works so well. And I've had a lot of conversations with the leadership, especially Tad, who is the main director. What is his title? I can't.
He is CEO.
Yeah. And Tad is just a spectacular leader. And I think a lot of it, I mean, he's been there almost 20 years of kind of leading the ship. And that study was, how can we as a country make our other nonprofits as effective as what Bridges is doing? And so Shannon is part of the team that helped do that, put that all together so that people could learn from it. So that's really cool. And if you want to learn more about what Bridges is doing, make sure you go to Bridges to Work. Wait, is that it? Hold on, I'm spacing now. bridgestowork.org. Make sure you go to bridgestowork.org. Go to the top of the screen. There's a contact button. You can fill out the form, and that's a great way to get started. I'm here with Shannon McCabe. Shannon is an youth employment specialist too at Bridges from School to Work. And today we're kind of talking about all things helping people with disabilities transition from school to work, which is actually becoming more challenging. I'd like to talk about that for a second. From what you've seen over your time at Bridges, how are we dealing with the economic shift at Bridges? And is it a more challenging situation? And what can people and businesses do to help support Bridges?
Yeah, I think a lot of challenges have arisen since COVID. I've noticed when I started in 2020. So only a limited time before the pandemic really began. But, people were more open back then to really just get a job, and were super eager to get a job and didn't really, weren't too picky. But a lot of what I'm seeing, it's been a shift since COVID. There was a long period of time where people really weren't comfortable working at all. And then coming out of it, very picky, like do not want to work in fast food. A lot of people don't really want to work in grocery stores. A lot of people don't want to work really in customer service or around people, unless it's like a really bubbly, outgoing type of person who enjoys talking to people. But more often than not, people really stray away from working around people. And I don't know if they just, expectations through like social media and TikTok, just like having super, super ambitious, goals for careers. They kind of want to skip the first job experience. I am like very pro. There's nothing wrong with starting in fast food. I worked at McDonald's. I worked at Boston Market. First of all, I had a blast at those jobs when I was coming up high school and in college, and made my own money. And I think that sometimes they don't realize, like, it's still really rewarding to have that work experience and making your own money. And you're working with a lot of people your age also most of the times, and you make friends. And so I'm trying to, let them know it's not that bad. It's really not that bad. But that has been a challenge. there's only so many jobs where you don't have to work with people. And so some of it comes from a lot of social anxiety that developed during the pandemic, or just all types of different barriers that really came up. A lot of people during the pandemic, during those crucial years where they're like learning how to take public transportation, didn't do that because they were remote learning. They weren't going to school. They weren't going other places. So a lot of people I end up working with now, they never have taken transportation, where pre-COVID, everybody was taking the bus and train, knew how to get around independently. And I've just noticed a big shift where they don't know how to do that. So they really don't want to work far from home, or they don't want to work somewhere with a commute. But obviously how we're combating that is just trying to make as many employer partnerships as possible, really being out in people's faces and letting them know who Bridges is, how we can support them. We're bringing them pre-screened candidates that are ready to work. And so between us being able to bridge that gap, I think that's how we're helping. But there's definitely been a shift in interest and, you know, what people really are expecting when joining the workforce. So we're trying to help manage their expectations and then getting employers to also help us employ them.
What kind of jobs do they want?
A lot of people are interested in like Amazon or warehouse jobs that are paying a lot of money. But, you know, surprisingly, they're kind of limited. It's not as fruitful as you might think or expect. A lot of people kind of want warehouse or stocking, and what I've come across in grocery stores, they really don't let people have stocking jobs until they've worked there, like on the front end or bagging, or put a little bit of time in first, and then a lot of the stocking positions, they might pay a little more, or you might have to use some machinery, you know, to bring box, like pallet lifts, things like that. So they want you to have a little bit of work experience before jumping into those positions. Some people here and there ask me about remote work. Luckily not too often, but you know, they have high expectations of not being in front of people with zero work experience. And unfortunately, you have to put in get a little bit of experience under your belt before jumping to some of those things. But luckily, a lot of people on the other side, once I kind of convinced them to just give it a try, have told me after, you know, 6 months, a year of working, that they have gained so much confidence from being in a customer service role, that social anxiety, they just learn to combat it and, you know, be exposed to people and talking to people, and they come out of it feeling very confident and kind of like a different person. So I try to share those experiences with some of my other participants and, you know, change the mindset of what that looks like. And then a lot of times once people give it a try, you know, I always tell people, once you get a little bit of work experience, we can go for those warehouse jobs or more experienced jobs, full-time positions. And typically it's easier for you to get that job after you have a little bit of experience. So once you get that, I can help you. And I have been able to help people, you know, change career paths with that. But that was a long-winded way of answering what jobs they're looking for.
No, I mean, this is a call out to businesses. We need support. If you're a business in Chicago, the Chicago area, or any of the cities where Bridges from School to Work is, I want you to just take a second and think about this. You're getting people who actually want to work, who have a guide to help them get better at working, someone to help guide them on making the right decisions to make sure they get there on time. The folks at Bridges will drive folks to the place. They will walk in with them. They are there to help make them successful. And when you open up that pipeline to your business, you're opening up your business to greater success. And if you give those kids a shot, you're going to be amazed at what they'll do, because they're very, very talented. So what I want you to do, I want you to go to bridgesfromschooltowork.org right now. Go to the contact form and fill it out. Fill out the contact form. Somebody will reach out to you. And if it's not you that's looking for help, if you're 17 to 24 or know someone who is with a disability, reach out to Bridges now. You have nothing to lose. And I promise you everything to gain, because everybody who I've met who works there is a angel. Like, seriously. I haven't met one bad apple yet. So make sure you go and check them out. Okay. Shannon McCabe joining us on the show. She is a youth employment specialist too. I almost had it. She is a youth employment specialist too at Bridges from School to Work. And I just wanted to know, we have just a little bit of time, but I love to hear stories from the field. Do you have any like uplifting stories you could share with us?
Oh, I have so many. There have been people at Bridges much longer than I, but again, I started in 2020. So I, through the years, have met so many incredible people, so many success stories. But, one person comes to mind. Our mission is to transform lives through the power of a job. And one person, she always comes to mind because, we really, Bridges helped transform her life. And so I met her at her high school on the Next Gen study. And when she got enrolled, she had a cell phone, but it didn't have texting functionality on it. So I couldn't text her. She did not have Wi-Fi at home, so I couldn't email her. I couldn't call her. I really couldn't get in touch with her. And her mom did have a number, but I didn't have much contact with her mom because she didn't speak English, or she doesn't speak English. And it was just easier for me to have a set time to meet this young lady at her school every week, and we would just work on things in person. So for job applications, I would just use my phone number to try to coordinate things. And so when she ended up getting an interview at a movie theater, it was kind of chaos because it was after school. I had no way to call her. And I was able to call her mom, but she was at work. So, it was a lot of just, I drove to her house and waited for her to get off the bus and then brought her to the interview, and she ended up getting the job, but she'd never taken CTA before. So, or public transportation. So once she got the job, we had to teach her how to do that. And that was tricky with no cell phone because I wanted to make sure after her and I practiced a few times, again, if something went wrong on the train, she wouldn't have a phone to call me or call her mom or let somebody know that something was happening. Or if she missed a stop, she couldn't pull up a GPS and, figure out how to get back. And so it gave me a lot of anxiety when I practiced with her many times, but once it was ready for her to go to work, I just was a little anxious about that. But after, she worked for a little bit, she was able to buy, a cell phone plan and be able to text and call. And not only does she have that for herself, but she also now having a job helps contribute to bills at home and helps her mom out. So you can just see how a job really not only transform her life, but really her home situation. And through us, she learned how to take the bus and train and feels confident doing so. And having a job just taught her so many skills. And then now she has a cell phone. And that was when her and I were looking for a job. It was just breaking my heart that she needed a job to pay for her cap and gown to graduate high school, to go on the senior Six Flags trip, for all those things. And so getting her the job right before graduation. So she was able to buy her cap and gown and be a part of it. And so it just really transformed her situation. I feel like that at the root is what we do. And so there's many other people that deserve a moment, but that experience with her really encapsulates what our job is and what we do.
And what a beautiful story. I mean, she has, it just goes to show so many of us take it for granted, a little thing like a phone, but it's not a little thing. It's a massive thing. It would have taken, because you can't buy every person who needs a phone. You can't help everybody. And she was in that situation, and the thing that you guys did was you helped bring her out of that situation. And that's something that we all have the ability to do, but you guys, that's what you get paid to do, which is super cool.
Yeah.
What an amazing organization. Is she still doing great? Do you keep in touch?
Yes. And so it's funny because when she first got the job, she didn't have a phone yet. I was just using my phone to set things up for her. So when she first got signed up and onboarded at her job, we used my cell phone number. So I still get her, I don't know how, but I still get her work schedule sent out to me. She's been there at this job now for over a year, which is great because we work with people for them to gain their 1 year of employment, and then they graduate the Bridges program. So I can see that she's still working and she's still getting her schedule, which makes me happy that it just panned out and was a good fit. And it's nice because she'll still text or call me if she has any questions or doesn't know how to navigate something. If she needs to request off and she's nervous about calling her boss, she'll call me. And that's another thing about our program. And whenever I'm trying to recruit incoming participants, I try to let them know our relationship can extend, much long after the 1 year of employment. After you successfully complete the Bridges program, if you ever want to update your resume and you need help, or you have an interview coming up and you want to refresh some interview skills, or you want to use us as a professional reference, it can be a lifelong relationship. And if at some point in time I leave Bridges or somebody leaves Bridges, we would always connect you to somebody at Bridges that is currently working there, and they would put in that time and effort with you. So it's really a lifelong bond and mentorship. And even if I left Bridges, I would still help any young adult I worked with, even if I wasn't getting paid to do so. So, that's just another benefit of what we do.
That's really cool. I want to thank you for sharing the stories today and sharing your knowledge and for everything that you and the team do. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you. I really appreciate talking about it. It's cool getting our name out there and letting people know what we do. And, as the more we could get our name out, the better.
Absolutely. And speaking of that, go to bridgestowork.org, click that contact button, fill out the form, and get the journey started, because you have everything to gain and nothing to lose. So make sure you get out there. I'd like to thank the whole team at Bridges from School to Work, the whole team at the Bridges to Success podcast, and once again, Shannon McCabe, Youth Employment Specialist 2 at Bridges from School to Work. On behalf of the whole team, I'm Jason Sroten. We'll see you next time.